Shalom, family. Today I'm going to be focusing on the fact that black people can't face reality because we hate change. We're afraid of change. As a matter of fact, there's a song that my husband shared with me that came out, I think, in the late 60s or 70s. And the group, I believe, is called The Last Poets. You can look up the song on YouTube and just listen to the lyrics. But they're basically talking about how N-words don't like revolution. They're afraid of change and all of this other stuff. And they go on to just break it down on how we're just content with being in nothingness. We're content with our current position, not trying to rise or fall or anything. If we could just stay right here, most of us are okay with that. Because to get change requires action. And that's what many of us lack. We lack the ability to even act on our own behalf. And so, therefore, you see all of this dormancy within the so-called black community. We don't even want to try to help ourselves. You see, we even go as far as to look to our enemies to help us in times of trouble. So many disasters that have happened or taken place around this country, and we are kind of left on the sidelines begging for help. You see, pretty much everything that we get, we're begging for it or asking for it or expecting it to come from outside of us, from someone else. Jobs. We expect to get that from outside of us too. I mean, everything. You name it, we expect it from someone else. And this is because we have adopted this lazy mentality. You know, I think there's a witchcraft or sorcery that's been performed on us that has worked. You and I both know that our ancestors weren't lazy. Before slavery, when we were over in Africa, we weren't lazy. I mean, it's very evident by the vast culture that we had where we were doing everything manually, you see. And even over here as slaves, our people worked from sun up to sundown, you see, in the hot sun. Do that sound like a lazy person to you? Now, what's funny is lazy people branded us as being lazy. You see, so-called white folks are always calling us lazy, always calling us do-nothings, like we don't want to do anything. And I think what's happened over the decades is because they have said this so much, they've actually programmed it into the minds of so-called black people. Of course, there were things that they did to ensure that. When you take a young man who tries to get a job at a young age, okay, and he applies here, there, and everywhere he goes, he's turned down. After a while, he gets the notion that maybe I can't be hired, maybe I can't get a job, you see. And so when he lays back on his behind and does nothing, everyone's looking at him like, well, why won't you get a job? He's like, well, no one will hire me. Now, I know that's not the case with everyone. I know some people are just plain lazy. I'm not arguing that fact. But I think what has happened is a lot of our people have allowed the sorcery of being called lazy to actually take hold of us. You see, we don't go out and create opportunities for ourselves. Okay, there are situations where I've known people, including my husband, who couldn't get a job. And so he created ways to earn income on his own, you see. And unfortunately, that's a lost art for some of our people. You have people who know how to build, they know how to paint. You got a lawnmower, you can cut grass, you see. You might be able to do light electrical work or handyman jobs, you know, just different fix-it jobs around the house. You can even do farm work, but some of our people have adopted this lazy attitude because they're saying, look, I've been called lazy, so therefore that's what I'm going to live by. That's the creed I'm going to live by. And so I can definitely see where the witchcraft and the sorcery has worked, you see. You see it in the movies, you see it everywhere, where we are being branded as lazy. And so therefore, we don't seek change. You know, and not just with being lazy or what have you. Anything that requires some of us to get up off our behinds and try to fight for change, we just don't do it. And I'm not talking about marching. I'm not talking about begging the white man to have mercy on us. I'm not talking about begging them for jobs. I'm talking about creating things for ourselves. You see, there's a very good example that I have. I'm not going to share much of it right now, just a little bit of it, because I want to talk about this later during either a broadcast or maybe another video. But it involves something that was shared with me by a sister, and I looked at it. It's an awesome idea, but what's funny about it is we thought about something similar a while back, but not in the way that these people are doing it. They're talking about actually allowing those who buy from them to be hands-on with the project. Okay, so I'm gonna just just leave that little part there. Okay, but what it is, it involves carpentry, right? In which a lot of our brothers know how to do that. They are very skilled in this. And what I believe we should start doing is using our skills to our benefit. When I look around in various communities, especially down here where we are, I see so-called white people that I would consider young that are doing extremely well with things that I know our brothers can do and some of our sisters can do. You see, we went to this one resale shop and there was a lot of handcrafted wood items that was made by a woman. You see, things like benches and swing benches and chest, you see. I remember me and my husband, we were making chests back in Michigan, you know, because we like boxes, wooden boxes. And so I remember one day my husband made one really nice and he had a workshop in our basement. So I said, you know what, I think I'm going to make me one too. So I went down there and I still have this box too. I went down there and I made me a box too. And I thought about it. I'm like, what's the problem? We can make these things. We can make things. We can do things. Why don't we as a people push our abilities in the form of business? You see, other people are doing this all the time, you know. And the one idea that I saw, it involved tiny homes. There's a tiny home boom going on, you see. And I feel that that is something very attainable for us as a people, because you're not talking about building a big 6,000 square foot house or even a 2,000 square foot house. You're talking about something that you can construct in a week's time, you see. And even if it took you 2 weeks, it's a start, right? And there are buyers waiting to buy these kind of things. I just think that we have to lose this fear that we have and stop looking for jobs all the time. I understand and I know that looking for a job or having a job, you feel secure in that. But in today's time, there is no security in having a job. So we have to stop being so docile, you see, and stop being afraid of change, you see. Stop being to the point where we just don't want to do anything unless it's being partially done for us, you see. There is a reality that we need to face as a people. And the reality is the system is failing and it's failing fast. Now, do you wait until the system fails before you try to get up and do something? Or do you say, okay, I'm going to look into my bag of tricks and see what I'm able to do that could produce an income for my family? You see, when we look around, most of us, we are saddened by the day's events. We see what's going on with police violence and the workplace and the discrimination against us. And most of us, all we can do is talk about it, cry about it, whine about it. Okay, I'm not saying not to be quiet about it. I'm not saying it's nothing to cry about. It is. It's definitely something to talk about because it helps to wake our people up. But there's also action that is required on our parts. And that's the part where we get stuck. I believe it's time for us to stop getting stuck and move into action. Whatever it is you must do, you can do. Now, there are some things I envision, right? And I've talked about some things before openly, and there are some things that we have attempted before. But there is one issue we keep running into. It's the brick wall of black people who has a lackadaisical attitude about doing things. And it's to the point where a lot of our people require you to do most of it, and then they'll come aboard. And that's not really fair, you see, because it takes a lot of time and effort to do certain things. And when you have an attitude of, okay, you get it started, you get it rolling, you get it moving, and then when you're almost to the finish line, I'll have someone pull me up alongside of you in my vehicle, drop me off, and we'll finish together. You see, that's why it takes us so long to do things, because you don't have that helping hand that wants to join in to help spearhead something. You don't have those who want to do that. And then you also have those who don't want to take any risk. They want you to take the risk, you see, and once they see that things are going along just fine, then all of a sudden they say, okay, now I'm comfortable with joining in. This is why we can't get anywhere. I see people of every culture taking the dive. There's a Gentile that we met with the other day that unfortunately there are no so-called black people that do this kind of work in this area. So we are forced to say, okay, we're going to have to hire this company over here. But it deals with some landscaping work that we needed done that we don't have the equipment to do. And so it's taking down some trees, okay? And so basically when we started talking to this white man, this Gentile, he was telling us how, and right now he's 50 years old, but he was telling us how things were from when he was in his 30s on through his 40s. How he had a business. He owned a business where he had over 100 employees. And he had all of these big machines, you know. I mean, you name it, he had it. And he was running a major, major business. And the only reason why he sold it, he said there was a local judge where he lived that made him an offer he cannot refuse. Made him an offer he cannot refuse. Now you add it up. You have a person with 100 employees and all these big machines, and someone made you an offer you cannot refuse. Do you think this offer was less than $1 million? I don't think so. I don't think so. And so this person no doubt started at ground zero. They probably started with one machine and then worked their way up to two as they went around getting business, and then 3 or 4. Before you know it, they had all the machines they need to have a major operation to where they were able to hire over 100 people. We can do that, family. I know we can. I know we can. We just need the know-how. We need to wake up out of this slumber that we're in, this sorcery that has been put on us that makes us think or play out the role of being lazy, because we've heard it so long that blacks are lazy. Why can't we just prove that we are not lazy, that we can do things? You see, there are so many things that we buy on a regular basis that many of us are capable of producing. If I could scream to the top of my lungs right now, I mean to the top of my lungs, and say, wake up, I would. I would want to scream so loud that I can shatter this chandelier here. You see, because that's how serious it is to me that our people wake up. Because I already know what we're capable of doing if we just put our minds to it, put our hands to it. It's not that hard. I know it's not. I know it's not that hard. I know that all we have to do is start. You see? You know, there was a movie where they said, if you build it, they will come. That was a line from the movie. I know that if we were to do some things, that we would get the business, we would get the support, we would get all the things that we need to make our business prosper. But we're just too afraid. We are those Negroes that hate revolution and change. We want to sit back and collect a check from our oppressors and hope and pray that one day they don't pull the plug out from under us, or pull the rug out from under us, or pull the plug on us. We're just hoping and praying that one day we won't go and get a pink slip. You see, we're just hoping and praying that they will forget that we're black, and just let us keep our job from now until eternity. I don't think that that's a good place for us to be right now. I really think that we need to figure out how to do for self, because the system is failing fast. It's no time to fear. It's actually time to work. It's time to get up off our behinds and try to take care of ourselves and not be thrust into a situation where we are forced to bust somebody upside their head to get something to feed ourselves or our family. That's the coward's way out. Right now you have opportunity. Excuses do nothing, you see. I know it's hard, family. I know it's hard. But with the right amount of effort, with the right amount of cohesion, with the right amount of understanding about what time we're in, you can achieve many things. Unfortunately, we hate each other too much. Let's stop being stupid with all of that stuff. You see, all of these petty differences that we have, I'm telling you, some of it is so petty, I don't even know how some of us sleep at night feeling the way that we feel about each other or acting the way that we act. I could get along with anybody. I'm going to tell you that right now. I could get along with anybody. You see, I just wish that people would take on the attitude of, hey, look, life is short. Let's get along. Let's love each other. Let's do what we have to do to take care of us. Take care of us. You see, but the problem is so-called black folk don't see in us. You see, you know what we see? We want to unify with the whole world. We want to unify with people who don't care one way or another if we live or die. That's our problem. And until we understand that we must unify with each other, we will continue in this downward spiral into nothingness. We've got to wake up out of this, family. We've got to stop being afraid of change. We've got to stop being so docile and so dependent on a system that was made to destroy us. And with that, I will say shalom.